And hi guys, today is 15th June. Now is 12 o'clock 13, and I start to live streaming of my study. Yeah, and I hope I can finish in hours the uploaded applications material, so that yeah, cool. What the fuck? 还没。I think OK， 我刚刚发现一个事情，我打开那个online 我的 beautiful days today， 发现就是打开我的那个 TOM 的 Bababons Portal 的时候，我发现那个上面在第一行的所有的都通过了，所以我就还挺开心的，但是还没有那个粗拉送，只是全部绿了，就是第一个发子吧，应该是。所以我现在要赶紧写第二个，但是因为我其实是在31号之前我是写好了的，但是我打不开那个文件损坏掉了，是非我就是，所以我就必须得重写一遍。所以我们看一下，看一下那个什么。先 logo out， 然后对，我要找那个他们的那个要求。这个很奇怪的一点是， 在申请的时候呢，就是这个对于文章的要求，它是在这个系统内部，然后它才有的，而不是在系统外部的。所以在这种情况下，你在主页里面 website 里面找是找不到的。所以所以就还就是一个 tricks。cool。很奇怪的是，因为我最近一直没有开哔哩哔哩的直播，然后现在基本上开到30分钟，然后哔哩的直播间也没有人进来，所以怎么办？Quick. I think come to BE and I prefer the CS. I prefer the consumer science because I have more knowledge about this area and I have more practice about this area. So yeah. So it should be good when I can write something about CS, like consumer science, and PE is too specific, I think. So, but but now I should first wait the charge be finished, and then I can, yeah, I can start to reread this requirement of this essay. And let's see what this moment I will first I will read it again about this essay topic. This is about COVID-19 pandemic and the importance of health. Uh, because because nowadays the obesity and related cardiovascular diseases are very common to see, and from the point of view of policymakers, and they are struggling to convince a large group of consumers to eat healthier. So I do think there are some problems that I cannot write because some problems or some problematic was not solved yet. And for example, like this sentence, like policymakers are struggling to convince a large group of consumers to eat healthier. Why? For what? For let less diseases to uh, spread of the society or of our society, or enforce the large group of consumers. But here means that here is that consumers, not the public. So not everyone in the public, but the but the special to mention that that was consumers. So it means this essay topic already within a frame, and so that I shouldn't mention much. So I shouldn't mention much about other population group, instead of only focus on the group of consumers. So it means that they already predetermined that the group of consumers already the group of consumers already exists in market. So there are no needs actually to discuss whether consumers willing to join an transaction or not. So in this sense, the problem is why policymakers like government, or like some government or some research institution, especially for the policy make or policy design, if you want to call it, it will be fine. And so they are struggling to convince large of people or large of group of consumers to eat healthier, means that there already exists a large group of consumers that they are not eating health healthier food. Okay, I will wait a little bit, and I will wait a little bit, and to have some water, and yeah. So in this sense, there is a slim and there is a small difference, whether to struggling to convince or to convince. Struggling to convince, it is because a large group of consumers that they don't eat healthy food. But why the large group of consumers do not eat healthy food? Because what? Because without considering of price, and without considering of price, it means eat unhealthy food can satisfy their taste, or why? Because the healthy food and unhealthy food, and you cannot determine whether the healthy food is always cheaper as the unhealthy food. So in this sense, if we don't considering the price of both unhealthy and healthy goods, and how can we understand why a large group of consumers do not eat healthy food? So in these things, in these things, I will first uh, to think, okay, there is a small difference. So means so for example, for example, first that the large group of consumers, eating behavior always happen in the private place. For example, at home or at restaurant or at mm, I I don't know whether University Mensa is public place or not. I would think it's is yeah, okay, it's not so I will first think I will first think a large of group. So that's why when people eat, they always eat at the place that they think that is safe or health or private. So in this things the eat behavior, right, always happens in the private dinner. So in these things means that there are no regulation. If you want to, if I want to call, if you want to call it regulation, it is too hard, and then you can say there is no control. Okay, there's no control of whether how should the things going or how should things happening, and there is no one to control it, and mostly when people feel safe and will feel safe and they start to eat. And in this sense, this means that the eating situation and or eating place always happen in a place which the people can find happiness, safe, and so those kind of places. And that's why in especially in this kind of places there is no control or no regulation. And so in this sense there is always unlimited possibility that you can eat and so on. So the problem, I think the problem is I think the problem here is whether to convince the large group of consumers to be more self-controlled. Okay. um um so so in this sense it means yeah, so this problem solved. So okay, if we want to talk very detail, like how to choose this private place and to eat, or for example, if they eat at home and they need to go to supermarket or online buy something to eat. So in these things, the government or policymakers that they can determine whether or what or which quantity or what kind of food and they buy, for example, like in supermarket, and the price mechanisms and then will be determinant for them to buy, and because everyone has different high of their income. So in this sense, it is very easy to control and like use price mechanisms, because everyone doesn't have the same quantity of money to buy goods. So so in this sense, the price should be the control indicator, but otherwise the other place can also can also be the place to eat, for example, like restaurant. And then like for example in restaurants, then price mechanisms will not working, because the food or the food which we eat in restaurants already be made and it's not the raw material. So in it's not raw material. So in these things, if you want to control price, and price will not be so detailed listed. In these things, only the meal of the price of meal will be determined by restaurant. So in this sense, if you want to control every detailed price of every goods in one dishes, that was not so possible. So but the restaurant could be also the place to eat to eat. That's why um that's why, okay, if from this level to control whether the consumer to eat healthy or not healthy is actually not difficult for policymaker, because they can be determined by every restaurant. So they they just determined they just be determined by policymaker by every single restaurant. So in this sense, um, in these things, and the restaurant owner will also be defined as consumers. But I would rather to think that these consumers, which I will write here in this essay, means that the public consumers, like consumers in every in our society as individual, and not as restaurant, because then that belongs to the range of big purchase or some purchase, not the buying behavior. So in this sense, I will say, okay, cool. Then 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 without considering of restaurant and big purchase, and only limit this range of individual consumers, then what should here be written, or what should here be written, like that's a problem. And yeah, so in this sense, we can firstly define every eating place should be private. So in private places, that the government or policymaker, they don't have right to enter into every private place to control their eating behavior. So in this sense, um, how can they policymakers to control the how the policymakers can control the large group of consumers eat healthier, right? So that's the first that's a small difference. And then after that in this essay requirements, that they wrote exercise and to reduce stress for mental health. Okay, so here is another small difference between the health and mental health, because one is physical and one is psychological. So in these things, there are also some difference. Whether the consumption or whether the consumer they buy some healthy products means really they can be in a healthy state. All to define. Okay. So maybe here I will put more attention, put more focus on so health means one side, the mental health, and another aspect as physical health. So here is a big difference, and must be cleared that not to say that what is the difference between mental health and health, but to say the buying behavior. I mean behavior in our reality, or buying behavior, and that's all happening in our reality, and that means when we buy something and we do not, or we don't allow to expect that there really something to affect our mental health, because the uh, mental health uh, cannot be impact or cannot be influenced by single buy some product. So in that sense, I do not think that's really reasonable when we. I don't think that here is really reasonable when we talk about the mental health and the buy behavior and the consumption behavior. So there is some mistakes, I think, because okay, for example, a customer say, I want to reduce my stress because I feel so too stressful for my work. For example, for a normal employee, and then reduce stress, and you just search for online products for reduce stress. They will give you some suggestion like memory pillow maybe will let you sleep better, or some white noise radio and will let you feel peaceful, and some hiking or some swimming, some not heavy sport, and will reduce your stress. But they all cannot, but but I don't think those kind of consumption or behavior will really reduce stress. Or what means reduce stress? And reduce stress means that you don't feel heavy, you feel freely, and but those kind of mental belong mental freedom, not mental freedom, but mental healthy, and cannot be determined by single buy of some products. So I think there are really some problem that I find from upon my thoughts, and I can also think that's really reasonable that here to say that the policymaker should convince a large group of consumers to um, take more exercise, that I can understand. For example, in China, that they the group of people that they not group of people, but like my mama, and they exercise every day in the park, or in playgrounds and so on. But you cannot say that. But you cannot say that exercise will ensure you to reduce your stress. For example, like um, yeah, that's why. So I think which we experience as in our physical world cannot be directly influenced some behavior, because yeah, that's the two problems I think is really essential. And what's in this essay topic requirement say, write a research proposal for a study investigating how consumers can be motivated to live healthy. So here I think I can handle this question, how consumer can be motivated to live healthier. This means that the motivation of healthier should be very important, and the motivation and motive that from the like inner drive, right? So here I think uh like in a very polite things to speak, that when consumer can be motivated to live healthy, and what their intention and what their motivation to live healthier, it is it is, for example, if I live healthier and I have less diseases, or there any relevant related reasons to say that if you live healthy, and then there should be less diseases. Can we think that is a logic link between live healthy and less diseases? I think we cannot say. Mm, and then in this essay topic requirements, they say that for your study, focus on one dimension of healthy living or healthy behavior. So means that no need to mention some negative aspect of when you are in the unhealthy condition. For example, when you live in the when you live in the common house, when you live in the hospital, and then the things should be managed by the by hospital and not here. So here said, use consumer behavior theories as theoretical background. So I searched consumer behavior theories, and there is I still should need I still should search the consumer behavior theories to take them as theoretical background. And yeah, and then I need pay more attention of guidelines and essay information sheet and so on. Yup. um so in this sense, I will use Google Scholar now, and to type consumer behavior theories, and to see whether I should find something. And consumer behavior theories. Okay, cool. Okay, see what I found. Yeah, it's just the same as before. Yeah, I found before. The first one is the development of consumer behavior theory. So let's check it. From the Association for Consumer Research. So theory has developed from grand formal approaches to middle range theories resulting in excessive fragmentation. Present time has come to turn back to master theory that will help integrate the divergent pieces. And 1982, the development of consumer behavior theory advances in consumer research volume 9 and Indian Association for Consumer Science, page 2 pages. The author was from UCLA, and the title was The Development of Consumer Behavior Theory. The development, I hope, okay. So there is okay. Here is two important author. One is Veblen's idea of conspicuous consumption, and another one is Kuhn's work on orange juice or the stochastic models. So I will first check the balance idea of conspicuous consumption, and another one is Kuhn's work. So before, and I will first copy this title and into my essay, and in order to for me later to end into the citations. Okay, cool. Yeah. Then I will search the balance idea of conspicuous consumption. I think here should be more interesting because if you want to detail it, then it can have more perspective to mention. But now the problem is that within the frame of this essay from TOM, and I do think there is not much resources available to write something very true and so on. So in that sense, in this sense, yeah, cool. I will first search this author. I don't know why. It's just the air become quiet now, and I will just what happened and so on. Okay, copy and put into Google and to say. Okay, the first is the gstour.org. They show an article about balance theory of conspicuous consumption after 100 years. It's like very not very serious, right? So Torstein Veblen coined the term of conspicuous consumption to explain the spending of money on and acquiring of luxurious commodities. I don't think that's really relevant because the luxurious consumption, luxurious commodities, I don't want to determine whether they are healthy or not, but luxurious commodities is not the topic of this essay. I think the healthier products mostly come from very nature environment. So I think the more we converge ourselves or our eating habit to those area or near nature, and the more healthy we will be. So that's the problem. Yeah. So in this sense, if I don't understand what is conspicuous consumption, it doesn't matter because now I do not need to understand whether or how that conspicuous consumption is. So in this sense, I will just close it to save my time. And the second author is Queen's work on orange juice in stochastic models. Copy and find it. And there is a very authoritative resource article resource from Springlink, and the title of this paper calls Consumer Brand Choice a Learning Process. A learning process. Yeah, we can say that in the long term, and how to format a habit, and then the formation process should have some learning effect, or should have some learning effect. But I do not think the learning process is very it's very determined here. So I will think, okay, a random work. Repeat purchase estimation and linear learning model. Repeat purchase estimation and the linear learning model. The history of marketing science. I think one question whether this all theories belong to the marketing science. Marketing science. Okay, I will first find the first one. Okay, the marketing theory and practice. Okay, that. And here is one article about, okay, that's already open. So I will look the first resource, Covella. And the price of this article is €60.70 from Alfred A. Cool. The summary said that a stochastic learning model describes consumer brand shifting. Brand shares are predicted from the sequence, RAM, and frequency of consumers' past purchases. Data from further orange juice concentrate is used as empirical work. Okay, I will check this one. And in order to check this one, I need my university's VPN. So just like to quickly refresh the website and look. We we still need buy it. There is no yeah, maybe I will find another website of the resource resource. Find this resource. Consumer brand choice. Yeah, brand choice is not so relevant, but the EcoBeats online resource. Okay, cannot open. And semantic scholar. I okay, I just I think brand choice is not so relevant. So in this sense, I can totally close this website about this author. But I do think one but I do think but this all this yeah, maybe on yeah. So there is another alternative article about from this author, and title is "Brand Equality: Consumer Learning and Choice." This is relevant, but I need first find this the first one: consumer brand choice, a learning process. Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay, when I only can get this article without have to read them, and when I know the price about 26 euro 60 cent, that was quite expensive. So compared to what I have VPN of university, so in this sense, and how can I judge this? Or not judge, but how can I think? How can I discover more about without to open this article? Okay, let's see the consumer. The title of this article is Consumer Brand Choice: A Learning Process. Okay, first of all, the learning process me with a Fragezeichen, with a Fragezeichen, and means that it was very similar article about a previous professor in eco, and he already left for a long time, I think. And so in this sense, first to think, okay, this article quite similar of the professor's paper, and so in this sense, whether relevant or whether it should be relevant or not, and I will think, cool. Cool. That was BO. That was BO. So when I write about consumer science, I will just ignore this article and to save more time. And otherwise, okay, that's okay. If I don't need to consider, if I do not need to consider my the the Fragezeichen, I mean the 问号, okay, the 问号, and then how can I determine how can I discover more by only to read the title? And then I say, cool, this is about consumer brand choice, and consumer choice is very interesting, and it's kind of interesting. It's very interesting. It's interesting because consumer science is it's about how the consumer to decide whether they buy or what they buy or how they buy or buy what, and those kind of questions. And then, but here in this title, they directly determine, okay, that was a brand choice and consumer brand choice, and whether you choose which brand, whether that was a service or product, that's the difference between or within this article which they should write, or they should have to discuss kind of questions in this article. So, so I think from two perspective, I will not just ignore this article, and even they cost like 30 euro or something, and they cost 26 euro 70 cent, and from very famous author like Alfred A. Kuhn, that was a very class famous author. And but I cannot not only upon this famous author, and to so I will okay I will, if I really interested in this author, and I will copy this author's name and into Google search, and to find more articles, more relevant articles about my current essay requirements, and to search, but not just wait or search everywhere else about this article choice. So in this sense, okay, I will copy the name of Alfred A. Kuhn and into the Google search, and to find more relevant articles about consumer science instead of consumer brand science. Brand science is kind of a specific area and a learning process that is relevant to its habit, buying habit. So in this sense, I think, yeah, maybe relevant, but I will not put much more time and energy into this in this finding process about this article. So let's just directly or type directly Alfred Kuhn about yeah is not economist. um okay, I cannot believe that was not from an economist, or I searched wrong. And okay, let's just type the consumer science. So he wrote also about problematic populistic models of consumer buying behavior. Yeah, that's the right one, right? From 1964. Okay, let's check the second one. Okay, I opened, but here cannot be directly download. And this article is in Journal of Marketing, and this available in volume 28, issue 4, 1964. So yeah, this is very relevant, this article. And in order to very quickly get an overview of this article, then I will say I will first read I think I should first read the abstract. I don't know why the air is become so quiet now, but I think I do think, yeah, cool. Then then I think cool. Then I must read first the abstract. There is some questions, does it make sense to classify consumers as users, non-users? So yeah, and as heavy and light users, brand X rather than brand Y. So it's always with brand X or brand Y. So the brand here doesn't mean the mark, but XY. Okay, cool. Do American consumers fit into such neat categories, or is it likely that their brand choice behavior is more subtle, less susceptible to exact categorization? The article shows how traditional static approaches are in unjusted for predicting consumer behavior. Mm. It offers an alternative, the dynamic probabilistic approach, which can sharpen and analyze and yet better predictive models. Okay, models. Okay, that's relevant. That's copy it. Let's copy it. Okay. It's still not possible to open the full article. So yeah, I will search the title. I mean, why the okay, cool. Okay, let's find it. Yeah. Maybe this one, Jonah Sakpu and the first one. But I mean, this is too it's a bit difficult, right? So I will download it, and from GSTOR will have the access to open it. Then another thing, so I will first to save in GoodNotes as new article, importing. Okay, okay, it's not because I'm boring and to check the phone. It is because I think this article is a little bit difficult. No, I cannot. It's not a little. It's not just a little bit difficult. It is difficult. Oh.哦，完了。 Okay, I will take a break and see you guys. I think I need to close the YouTube and yeah, because I cannot，我不能读教授的文章，因为我现在还只是一个学生而已。所以我刚才搜到一篇教授的，类似于教授，就是教授每天应该读的文章，所以我觉得我不太懂这篇文章。其实我也不是，并不是我不懂这篇文章，这篇文章的语言都很简便，就是这怎么说呢？就是这篇文章不难，而且很短。比如说，就是我看的刚才这个是，刚才我看这个是 probabilistic， 就是可能性模型关于那个消费者购买行为的。其实这不难的一篇文章，因为我们想就是比如说像我的话，想当然的话，我就会觉得我就会想，那么我就会想当然的说1964年的文章，然后距现在已经半个世纪了，然后所以这个文章在现在的人的观念或者观点里面读起来，它不应该太难。而且的话，因为就是大约是5、60年前的文章，所以它的文字一定叙述一定非常的苍白，但是苍白对我来就是苍白又是另外一种更好的阅读方法。因为一般来说，一般就是用一些简单的语言，所以它语言会比较简单，用词也不会觉得非常复杂。就是没有现在那么细分的一个状态。比如说像现在你随便点开一个经济学的博士写的文章，然后他都会觉得就是里面的用词非常的 specific， 就是里面用词非常的特殊，然后用词非常的特殊，然后就让人觉得很高级。但是像1960几年的文章1964年的文章，它还没有发展到就是说让我们觉得非常的遥不可及那种，所以用词也很简洁。然后呢，因为作者越有名，然后他的词语的组织或构架的话，都会趋近于更简单的模式或者是形式。所以这种情况下，读这篇文章其实并不难。但是我发现和我熟悉的一个教授，也就是和我熟悉的一个教授，他的一个阅读风格非常像。然后所以我可以确定的说，当我搜到这篇文章的时候，我可能是驾于他之上，然后搜到这篇文章。虽然这篇文章非常的 exactly to describe what I need now，but 但是就是会直接的给出我现在所需要的最关键的部分的理论。但是呢，我不会选择去使用，因为毕竟是教授他读的文章和我自己读的文章不应该是相同的文章。因为他已经从事经济学教授已经几十年了，然后在他的底蕴或者是在他的知识储备下，就是不是说知识储备，就是他的就是说经济学知识的底蕴下，然后他都可以随便说 search this article，就是可以找到这样的类似的文章。但是从我的角度来说话，我更不愿意去直接使用他的文章，然后去创建自己的理解力或者是自己的东西在上面。因为我付起那个教授的代价，或者是我不能一下就跳过教授，然后去使用比教授更好的资源，或者是更多的资源。所以这种情况下，我会先停一下，我会再思考一下，我会再往前倒一下。因为我这样的话，我就不用付教授的代价了，或者是价格了。所以就不是价格，就是说他们吃的苦，然后吃了那么多苦，然后总结了那么多精华，然后知识的精华，所以他现在就说你可以随便搜索到这样的文章，但是我不会选择去用。因为我会选择以我自己的简单的思维逻辑，然后去努力的去 抓到他们的思维里面的那个点，然后但是我不会说是直接逾越过教授，然后去用他的那个文献资源，我觉得这是不应该的。所以我在这种情况下，我会觉得这篇文章虽然是那么的一个很有名的教授，然后一个简洁的标题，然后嗯，一个很深邃的一个理论，然后那个深邃的理论又是那么的关键，在一个 consumer science 里面。但这又好像不是一个入学的一个 essay，好像就是你要写毕业论文的时候，然后你要去讲明白的，或者是你在这个 master 期间，然后你要学习的这么一个理论，然后去澄清这个方面的一些关系。所以我在这个情况下，我又觉得不会用，我又觉得先不要前置自己那么多来的一些 resource 了。所以就是说，先把自己往后推，然后所以就在这种情况下，我觉得会很纠结在这个点上面。然后也就是说你现在只是写一个入学的 AC，然后但是你用了就是说你入学以后大概到第3学期，然后要写那个 master arbeit 的时候你要的 resource。所以在这个时候，那你1到3学期怎么办？那你到前面的几个学期怎么办？所以就这个时候我选择不会读。但从另外一个角度想，就是说，那你就直接读，然后因为这个也不是特别难，然后所以那你就读，然后也不是说不可以。那我就发现又有一个什么问题啊，我就是觉得很烦。好，那我就先休息一下吧，我们等会儿再见，See you later, guys.